Racing is deeply rooted in the history of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. It can be seen even in the name of one town in our area, Raceland. We have Chris Saunders, who is a historian, who studied the Underground Railroad and a lot more. And there's a connection. This is the thing that was most interesting. When you got in touch with me about this after the fire that we reported on in Raceland, we talked not only about the fire, but about the history of that location. There's so much about it. First of all, let's touch on the fire, Chris, and how that affects. That was a really important piece of history right there.
Yes, it was. In fact, that was one of the last. There are a couple more, but that was one of the last remaining buildings of the Raceland racetrack, horse racetrack, which is where Raceland got its name.
Yeah, we have a picture, as a matter of fact, of that that we can show you. This building burned. This was describe what this was. This was like a jockey club or a jockey house of some type?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, that was a jockey house, and then there's a couple of other buildings across the way, and right there you can actually see the bend in the horse track there.
Yeah, oh yeah, you see it right there. That's where the horse track was, and that's the guy who started it all.
Yes, that's Jack Keene. And when the racetrack finally closed, it moved to Lexington, Kentucky, and it is now named Keeneland.
Keeneland after Jack Keene. So he went from Raceland to Keeneland and started Keeneland down there. Describe this person's grave. This is another interesting part of the story. David Nichols, who was a slave.
Yes.
And he was, that area right there, that was where the slave encampment was, essentially.
Yes. There was a Captain James Nichols who received that plot of land after his service in the War of 1812. And Nichols was there. Dave Nichols was later there. And he was enslaved there, and he actually was a Underground Railroad conductor and would usher people across the Ohio River. And he was actually aided by John Campbell, who was the founder of Ironton, and by John Peters, who was the founder of Colgrove.
Yeah, all part of the historic Underground Railroad. And one of the interesting things that you wrote about when I read an old article from 1921 that you sent me, it was from the Ironton Tribune, I believe?
Yes.
Ironton Standard, Ironton Tribune. And David Nichols was enslaved, in fact. Now, he fought in the Civil War for the Union.
Yes.
And he was freed then, of course, after the Civil War. But the man who was his slave owner, he actually went back and had a relationship with him as an employee afterwards. That's really, really an interesting part about that. He called him the kindest man that he'd ever known.
Yes, exactly. He, in fact, he gave David Nichols and other people he had enslaved there, gave them permission to fight in the Civil War, or told them that they could stay there and continue to work. Of course, they went and fought.
And he told them, one day you will be free.
Yes.
And he said, I'll give you your freedom rather than sell you to slave traders or anything like that.
Yes, and he had told them in the account, it said he told them that at an age as young as 7.
And then that young man who was a slave and then ended up fighting for his own freedom in the Civil War ended up living in that area, and he talked about going to those races at Raceland. So he was a part of, actually, several different parts of American history.
Yes, Jack Keene actually gave him a lifetime pass to the racetrack there.
No way.
Yes.
And so, he was a big fan of racing.
Yes, absolutely. It was very common at the time.
And describe what Raceland was like and that track was like. It was phenomenal. It's kind of, on a smaller scale and much older, what people would see when they go to Keeneland now.
Yeah, I read one account where I believe there was something around 17,000 people attending a race there, and there was a horse there by the name of Black Gold that was very popular at the time, actually raced there.
And what happened? Why did racing go away?
I'm really not sure exactly what happened to cut it down. Different accounts that I've read, uncertain, but I believe that there may have been some perhaps gambling issues or things like that going on around the area.
Yeah, and then there's possibility that there will be soon racing in Boyd County, Kentucky.
Absolutely.
They're talking about now with Sandy that's going in right now.
Right.
Chris, just an amazing piece of history, and once again, when looking at that picture right now where you can see that track around there that Jack Keene built, it's a fabulous history. Do you think there's any way for that history to continue even with the loss of that jockey house right there?
I would certainly hope so. I'm working with a group now who are attempting to document multiple Underground Railroad sites, and I was able to find David Nichols' grave, as you can see there,
Yeah.
and was able to clean it so you can see the before and after post pictures. And they are buried. He's buried in the same cemetery as Captain James Nichols.
How about that, right there?
Just about a mile from where the building was.
Well, we're going to hear a lot more about the attempts to try to highlight the Underground Railroad, because it's so much a part of this region and what we saw. Chris, thanks for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.